I am Tiffany Span Wilder, but you may know me as Judge T. I am an attorney and former judge here in North Charleston. I'm running for South Carolina District House Seat 109 because we need an advocate at the State House who knows the district and knows the people in it, from crime, lack of opportunities for our youth, to the education and traffic nightmares. We need someone who hears us and will fight for us. As your next state representative, I am ready on day one. I would be honored to have your vote.
It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's showtime, the Geno Jones Showtime. I know. You can read, you can see. Stevie Wonder can see it, right? This big, bright sign. All right, I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're in Chicago right now, 5:30. Stay warm. If you're out on the West Coast, out in L.A., celebrating a birthday with my man, Uncle Charlie, it is 3:30 p.m. Subscribe, share, screen grab, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. Tell everybody, as my man Nelly would say, tell everybody to subscribe. My goal is to get 5,000 subscribers. I am over 500 now. I qualify to be a YouTube partner, but my goal is to get 5,000 by May and have 500,000 by the end of the year. I set my goals big. We can make it happen. You can make it happen because you made this show happen. You made it one of the fastest growing shows here on YouTube. Thank you so much. So we had a big weekend here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro. Listen, it is election season all across America. We had a primary in Iowa. You had a Republican presidential, and I think you had Democrats, even though there's really no primary because President Joe Biden is an incumbent. Even though you've had, like here in South Carolina, you had this guy Dean Phillips, who I think his company created. I think it's Talenti. It's like this gelato. It's like a form of ice cream. Even though I think it's his family or somebody, either his family or his wife's family, somebody got some old money. I digress. He was on the ballot here, and Marianne Williamson. Okay, come on. We got to stop this, y'all. But I digress. So it's an election season. Speaking of voting, I need to give a big shout out at the very top of the show to Black Voters Matter. It is a dynamic, it is an amazing organization, nonprofit, led by my dear friend Latasha Brown and my other dear friend Cliff Averill, the co-founders. They are amazing, brilliant, dynamic, beautiful people. So Black Voters Matter rolled in town with buses. Huge buses, look like giant tour buses over the weekend. So Thursday through, actually Sunday they were in town, but they had events Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Thursday they had a, what the F is up? It was an uncut and uncensored political conversation that was targeted toward our Gen Zers. Not even so much the millennials, but our Gen Zers and some millennials were part of the conversation. And then Friday night, they had an incredible, so really all day Friday, they had these power building training seminars. They taught people how to organize in your community, how to organize for political power or run for office, strategy, how to create strategy and how to convert that strategy into action. Really, when it comes to organizing and strategizing, Black Voters Matter, they are brilliant about it. And then Friday night, they had an incredible town hall. One of the featured speakers, along with Latasha Brown and Cliff Averill, was my sister Angela Rye. She has a new podcast. Her and Tiffany Cross, who used to be an anchor on MSNBC, they did Tiffany wrong. And Andrew Gillum, who should be right now, currently, the governor of Florida. He ran for governor sometime back. He lost to Governor Death Wish, as I call him, Ron Dumbass DeSantis. I got the shoe races in my white boots. Just a weird ass dude. Not to mention with the racism and misogyny and sexism and all of that he is just really empowered and emboldened in the state of Florida. I digress. So Angela was there. Tiffany and Andrew were not there, but Angela Rye was there. It was incredible. I saw from afar, but everybody she was like swarmed over. People were excited to meet her. So shout out to Sister Angela Rye. Listen, you've been doing great work for a long time. So I'm just really proud of the work you're doing. And shout out to you and Tiffany Cross and Andrew Gillum. You all's podcast is fire. You have an open invitation to come on this show and promote your show. You have a permanent home right here in my home. So feel free, Angela, Tiffany, and Andrew. All three, you all can come together, or you can come individually, however you want to do it. You got a home right here. Pass the word. I'm going to make sure I add Angela and Tiffany and Andrew and their podcast. Make sure you check it out. The name escapes me right now. I don't want to screw it up. But just Google Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, Andrew Gillum podcast, and the name will come up. So that was on Friday night with Black Voters Matter. They sponsored that town hall. Then Saturday they had a huge "We Fight Back." That's their slogan. We fight back against the forces of racism and misogyny and sexism and hatred, homophobia, anti-Muslim hate, anti-immigrant hate, just hate in all of its forms, and bigotry and racism. And they had a huge barbecue that went on. Shout out to Black Diamond and her band. They were performing. So it was an incredible event. Then Sunday, those who were part of the Black Voters Matter, We Fight Back, like a convention, conference. It was really like a conference. They went down to the International African American Museum. And shout out to the museum. Everybody that runs the museum, you know you got a permanent home. I'm waiting. You all have an open door to come on and talk about that incredible museum that I was honored to get a chance to see last March before they officially opened. Shout out to Taste of Black Charleston and the Black Pages USA that had a huge event there. It was their Taste of Black Charleston was there last year. It was incredible. So I'm going to give a big shout out to Latasha Brown and Cliff Averill. Thank you guys for bringing the conference here. As we kick it off, February 3rd, this Saturday, is the Democratic primary here. President Biden is on the ballot along with two other people. So, since we're talking about voting, let me just make this hard turn here. So, because I've had people hit me up already. So there's a story out. Gets the Sunday version of the New York Times. Snoop Dogg, my dude, got nothing but love and respect. Really, because sometimes people say they got love and respect. They really don't. They're really being condescending or just snarky or phony with it. I'm not. If I got I can have love and respect for you as what you do as an artist. Definitely, huge fan as an artist, and just general love and respect. But listen, teeth and tongue can fall out. And I can have love and respect for you and not love what you always say or love what you always do. And the same for me. I know people, can have love and respect for me, but don't agree with everything, all my monologues. And that's okay, because it's like my mother taught me, teeth and tongue fall out and they share the same mouth. That was the saying. So what she meant and what she means is really, we got it from my grandmother. And what my grandmother meant and what my mother means is that teeth and tongue are as close as possible. And they don't always get along. They get in the way. They can get in the way of each other. And it happens. So we are human. We're not always going to agree with each other. Even your own family members. Nobody. Spouses. Identical twins. Don't agree on everything 100% all the time. If we were like that, it would be a boring world. I digress. So, but apparently the Sunday version of the New York Times magazine, or the New York Times, they talk to Snoop Dogg. He's got a new movie coming out. I hear it's hot. And so the subject, I guess they asked him about Donald Trump, a.k.a. on this show we call him Orange Jumpsuit Jackass Hitler. And I'm paraphrasing Snoop. Snoop said, I had none but love and respect for Donald Trump because he pardoned Michael Harris. Who is Michael Harris? Michael Harris is the co-founder of Death Row Records. So obviously, Michael Harris was a big part of putting Snoop on and giving him the opportunity to become the Snoop Dogg that he is. Because Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre put him on and he got his record deal with Death Row Records. Actually, now Snoop Dogg owns Death Row Records. But Michael Harris was he was a huge drug kingpin. He ran a nationwide drug trafficking organization. So that means he was like a nationwide, he was a drug dealer, but he was like big time. He had a nationwide drug trafficking organization. So, he just wasn't some of these dudes that had like the little trap house on the corner. He was bigger than Nino Brown. Nino may have had the Taj Mahal, whatever the hell that thing was called. The project. No, it wasn't the Taj Mahal. I'm thinking about someplace else. But he had the big project that he gave it a certain name. It'll come to me. But it was bigger than that. So, and Donald Trump pardoned this guy, Michael Harris, in 2021. Almost on his way out the door. 2021. So early in the administration. Now, see, one thing, Orange Jumpsuit Jackass Hitler was smart enough or had people around him who was strategic enough to say, why don't you pardon some of these hip hoppers like Lil Wayne and some of these other Waka Flocka? Why don't you pardon them and you get some of these black, men and women in the hip hop community to co-sign for you so you can get some of these young black folks that think that you cool because they'll say this you cool. Now, listen, I'm always going to give it to you straight. I've given it to you straight for 3 years now, a little over 3 years now. And I've said it so many times and I'm going to say it again. This election, really all these elections, but understand the presidential election and the election for the U.S. Senators and the U.S. House of Representatives, you have a choice, especially in this presidential election. You have a binary choice. The word binary means two. You have a choice, especially my young brothers and sisters. You are choosing. You are not choosing a person, somebody, your favorite rapper or entertainer or comedian or actor or athlete thinks this is cool. You are choosing between your freedom and your oppression. I will continue to tell you not to take my word. Don't take my word. Google Project 2025 and the MAGA, racist, misogynist, sexist, hate-filled, greed-filled, power-hungry cult. I want to erase not just the 21st century. They want to erase the 20th century. Hell, they want to erase the 19th century. They want to get rid of all your rights. They want to get rid of the 1964 Civil Rights Act that said, a federal law said that any form of discrimination was prohibited by federal law. You cannot discriminate based on somebody's race or their religion or their gender or national origin. Because before, you could discriminate. As a matter of fact, you could legally discriminate. It was written in law. In all the southern states that were part of the Confederacy, the Jim Crow laws. These laws were so precise in how they discriminated specifically against black people that Adolf Hitler saw this way over in Germany back in the 20s and 30s and sent a Nazi lawyer to the University of Alabama's law school in 1933 and said, dude, I need you to copy and paste these Jim Crow laws so we can use them here so we can discriminate and eventually kill and murder the European Jews, especially that were in Germany. Google the Nuremberg laws. That's what they were called. In America, they were the Jim Crow laws. In Germany, they were the Nuremberg laws. And they had the same effect. They discriminated and allowed Hitler and his racist members in politics, not to mention in the military, to seize assets, to seize the Jews that lived in Germany and really in Eastern Europe, but specifically in Germany. They had something called Kristall Night. It was like the night of broken glass, where you've had like these paramilitary, like their version of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and the Three Percenters. They were called the Brown Shirts. You got the idea from Mussolini, who was a dictator about 10, 15, 20 years before that. He had the black shirts. So they were not officially members of the military, but Hitler empowered them, and they wore brown shirts. And they went around, they terrorized, and they vandalized and broke out windows and burned all these Jewish-owned businesses in Germany. Oh, has something like that happened here in America? Oh, think about the Tulsa race massacres. Think about all the race massacres in the like 1919, 1920, Chicago, Wilmington, North Carolina. We had something happen here in Orangeburg, South Carolina, Rosewood, Florida, Oklahoma, Arkansas. It's too many cities to mention. Just Google the Red Summer of 1919 and the Tulsa race massacre in 1921. We had angry whites, especially in Tulsa, angry, jealous, racist whites. Sanctioned by the government, local government. Literally destroyed and burnt down the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ironically, which is the home of Charlie Wilson, Uncle Charlie, as we call him, who's celebrating a birthday today, who I will be shouting out shortly. Similar thing happened. So, especially to my young brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it. If I have to say it every day, please understand. Your choice and not voting means that you are voting for your oppression, because the people who want to oppress you and to murder you and to put you in camps, internment camps, concentration camps, the same people who have something called Project 2025, which is the blueprint, and they're so bold with it, the racism is so emboldened, and they feel so comfortable because of their leader, orange jumpsuit, jackass Hitler. But see, the people around him who harbor the same racist, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant, misogynist, sexist hatred. Because those same people that hate black folks, they hate Jews, they hate gays and lesbians, they hate Hispanics. They don't love them. No, they don't. Why do you think they want to build a wall in the southern border? You never hear anybody talking about building a wall across the Canadian-United States border, the northern border. Why is that? Never hear it. The southern border, because people are coming from Mexico and Central America. Those brown people. They hate the black and brown people and the Jews, and they really hate women, unless women are in their place. They don't want women CEOs. They don't want women presidents of major colleges and universities, especially black women. Oh no. Dr. Claudine Gay at Harvard. Oh no, we gonna create some stuff. Even though the billionaire who led the campaign, who was an alumnus of Harvard, then we find out that his wife had engaged in real plagiarism. Oops. But you didn't hear much about that, did you? No, you didn't. Because that's why we got to make sure that we have more black-owned media. So, to my young brothers and sisters and not so young brothers and sisters of all races, understand this election is a choice between your freedom and your oppression. Now, you can sit it out and you can say they all the same and it's the lesser two evils, and you are sadly mistaken, because you have one political party that, as flawed as it is, still believes in democracy, still believes in making sure that your civil rights are protected, your voting rights are protected, that you are not completely abused, terrorized, and murdered with impunity by law enforcement. As a matter of fact, part of the plan of 2025 is they want to do something, they want to militarize police. What does that mean? Because Orange Jumpsuit Hitler said it. He wants to send the U.S. military, if they're peaceful, any kind of protest, peaceful protest, because he doesn't want any protest to him would be not peaceful, because he's the dictator, and he wants to be the Lord and dictator and do what I say. I set the rules. Now, he can do whatever he wants to do, but the law, like he's talking about it now. All presidents should have immunity. They should be able to do whatever they want to do without being held accountable, without having to worry about going to court or being sued or going to jail. He said that presidents should be able to break the law because the president is the law. Nowhere in the Constitution did it ever say that. As flawed and racist and sexist as the original Constitution was, it said all men, not people, all men, left out women altogether, and said that Africans, black people were 3/5 human, are created equal. So this country's foundation, the original founding document, was flawed. I digress, but please understand, you are choosing between your freedom and your oppression. So I'm just going to wrap it up by saying this. Well, first of all, let me wrap it up, and then I got some shout outs I want to give. To all those who believe in freedom, because Orange Jumpsuit Hitler gets in office, he'll come for black and brown people. But he'll eventually come to you, poor working class white people, because he's going to come for your Social Security. He's made it clear. They want to get rid of your Social Security. They call it entitlement programs. Your Medicare, your Medicaid. So your parents and grandparents that depend on Social Security and Medicare that they paid into all their life, now they want to get rid of that. Because we can't afford it. We can't afford it. But you can afford to give billionaires and corporations that are making more profits, higher profits than they've ever made in the history of this planet. But that ain't enough. They need more money. Why? Just because. And you poor working class people, you don't need. So what? You know what? If you didn't make enough to really save and invest, too bad. But you paid. You paid. When they took out federal taxes and we took out the FICA, you paid Social Security taxes. And that whole system was rigged, because why is it once you make over $147,000, whatever you make, whatever your income in terms of a salary, over $147,000, you don't have to pay those same federal taxes. Huh? What are we doing? You are choosing, especially my young brothers and sisters, you are choosing. When you vote this year, you're choosing between your freedom and your oppression. And you can not vote if you want to. But if you don't vote, you are voting for your oppression, because the people who want to oppress and murder you, the same people whose great-grandparents murdered, lynched, and raped, and burned down thriving, prosperous communities that your ancestors lived in, are the same people who want to take full power. They want to take your voting rights where you won't be able to vote. So you won't have any say. You're talking about not voting. You'll never be able to vote again if you let this orange jumpsuit jackass Hitler get in office. And they've already got, forget the strategy, they got the strategy and the plan in writing. Project 2025. You can download it. You can download it on your phone. You can download it on your tablet. You can download it on your personal computer right now and read it for yourself. They want to militarize the police. They want to be able to send the police, not just everywhere, not in rural neighborhoods, but they want to be able to send the Marines and Army Rangers to police Chicago and Atlanta and New York and LA, South Central and Philadelphia and Atlanta, Houston, Memphis, St. Louis. And if you have anyone in your family that's ever served in the military, they will explain you. There's a reason why countries never allow their trained military to police their fellow citizens in that country. And you know why? Because countries train militaries not to police, but to kill, which is why in our country, in the Constitution, it was never allowed that we would never have our own U.S. military police fellow American citizens, because they weren't trained to police, they're trained to kill. But orange jumpsuit jackass Hitler wants to send military, the U.S. military, to cities with predominantly black and brown people. Just look, Google Project 2025. Militarize policing. Militarize local policing. You don't have to take my word for it. The receipts are right there. So you need to think about it. You're voting for your freedom, a choice between your freedom or your oppression. And if you don't vote, you've already voted for your oppression. Because like I said, the people that want to oppress you and your family, all of them, even your unborn children and their children, want to oppress you. And they got a plan, and it's in writing, and it is ready to go. They just need to get the figurehead in office, so all he has to do is just sign his name on the legislation when they recreate and remix the new Jim Crow laws that will oppress you and me the way it did our grandparents and great-grandparents and great-grandparents. After the Civil War, after the Reconstruction from the late 1870s up until 1964, when the Civil Rights Act was passed by the U.S. government. Man, y'all better wake up. It's real out here. And it's going to get a lot realer if you don't wake up. I want to send a big shout out to my man Clay Kane. He is one of the stars on Sirius XM Urban View. So if you get satellite radio in your car, Sirius XM, they have an amazing channel, Urban View. It's entertaining, but it's so informative, and it's all about leaning in and pouring into our culture and our community specifically. But they lean into humanity. That's the thing, of all people. But specifically, we lean into our culture. Because like I've said on my show, I am not anti anyone unless you are about hatred and bigotry and misogyny and sexism. Then I have no love for you. But just from a human standpoint, I have love for humanity. So I'm not anti, except for anti-racist and sexist and misogynist and violent, racist, sexist people and women beaters. But I am unapologetically pro-black because America has been unapologetically pro-black. And in a large segment of America, it still is. And it has been that way for going on 405 years. So I will never apologize for speaking the truth, fighting and ending racism that may never happen. But I'm like Muhammad Ali. I'm the greatest of all time. And I say that in all modesty and humility when it comes to speaking out and speaking truth to power and fighting against racism and hatred in all of his forms. But shout out to Clay Kane. He's got a brand new book comes out tomorrow, The Grift. Support the brother. He is a brilliant brother. Check him out. He's on Sirius XM. You get a chance to check him out. You know, they got, as a matter of fact, they have an app. So you can just download it and listen to them whenever. Listen to your favorite radio stations like mine during the day. Star 99.7, The Geno Show, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So come on at 9 o'clock in the morning if you're in Chicago. Come on at 7 o'clock if you're out in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Portland or Seattle. 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. 10 a.m. East Coast time. But shout out to Sirius XM Urban View. They do great stuff. And like I said, they have an app where you can you can just download at your convenience and check out Clay Kane, check out my fellow Taurian, Karen Hunter, LaRee Daniel Favors, Reverend Al Sharpton is on there, and shout out to Brother Joe Madison, who is like he is like the man. He was like the quarterback for Urban View. He is recovering from an illness. He had a health setback, so we want to lift Brother Joe Madison up in prayer. Happy birthday today, Uncle Charlie Wilson, 71, the lead singer for the Gap Band. Yes, Uncle Charlie, I heard, put on a great show Saturday night. He was in concert out in Los Angeles. Shout out to Dre Russell. Shout out to my man Ken Wilson, and shout out to Derek Brown in Chicago. Shout out to my man D. And she turned 70 today, ladies and gentlemen. One word. I just say this one word, you know who I'm talking about. And just the name. You don't even use two names. She's just one of those stars so big, you just say Oprah. Happy birthday, Oprah. She turned 70 today, and happy heavenly birthday to Harriet Tubman. She was born on this day in 1820. Joined the ancestors in 1913. Now, my younger brothers and sisters, and maybe my not so young brothers and sisters, Harriet Tubman, who? An abolitionist, fought against slavery. She was a political activist. She was in the U.S. military. She started off as a cook and a nurse. She became an armed scout, and then she became a spy for the U.S. Army. Just think about that. Born in 1820, so in the 1800s. As a matter of fact, she used the Underground Railroad to rescue nearly 100 people. Happy heavenly birthday to Harriet Tubman. All right, everybody, I'm out. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you, God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Subscribe, share, screen grab, like, binge watch all my back episodes. Tell everybody, all your brothers, your sisters, your sorority sisters, your fraternity brothers, your fellow Eastern Stars, your Mason brothers, folks that you travel with, ladies, your girlfriends, where y'all go to Jamaica or South Beach, or wherever y'all go, Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, wherever you're going, fellas, your boys that you hoop with, that you play cards with, all your church members, your co-workers, tell them all to subscribe. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show, one of the fastest growing shows on YouTube, now officially, a YouTube partner. Shout out to YouTube. I got to get with y'all so we can get these details about, since I'm now qualified to be a YouTube partner. And shout out to Miss Allie Jones, she is the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check Allie Jones and her collection. LX.N like Nanette, C like Charlie, L like Lexi, underscores that little dash below. LX.NCL underscore. All right, and of course, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show, my man Markel Bailey, the CEO of Designer Cuts here in the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. It is a barbering palace. Not just a barber shop, it's a barbering palace. So you can check out Markel and his work. Kel be cutting up on Instagram, KELBECUTTINUP. Oh, Allie Jones is on Instagram too. And her collections, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the show, lx.ncl underscores that little dash below on Instagram. And shout out to Mr. Bruce Gage. He's also a wardrobe consultant and stylist for the show. Check him out on Instagram. Miglio Di Mario Uomo, MIGLIODIMARIOUOMO, MIGLIODIMARIOUOMO. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Tuesday. So here in the state of South Carolina, the Democratic primary is Tuesday, January 30th. Get out and vote. The Democratic primary. Remember, it's a binary choice. President Joe Biden, orange jumpsuit Hitler, who's not on the Democratic primary ballot, but I'm telling you. All right? You have a right to vote for who you want to, but I'm explaining to you that understand you're voting. It's a choice between your freedom and your oppression. And I'm just going to be very factual. Any vote that you cast outside of a vote for President Joe Biden, and this is not a paid political ad. This is not a paid political endorsement or sponsor. They haven't paid me a dime. But I figure I owe it to my community. I have to pay my community and culture by telling you the truth. So any other vote outside of a vote for President Joe Biden is a vote for your oppression, or a non-vote is a vote to oppress you and everybody that looks like you, and not just black and brown folks, but poor working class white folks too, even a lot of you all in the MAGA cult who will stand to lose your health care, the Obamacare that you've been granted, you've been given, your Social Security, your Medicare coverage, your Medicaid coverage. Millions of poor and working class, primarily poor white people, will be damaged by the policies that orange jumpsuit Hitler has told you he's going to enact. It's in Project 2025. But the racism, the force of racism, and the whole concept of hating someone because their skin pigmentation is lighter than yours. This poisonous construct of race is so powerful. Even former President Lyndon B. Johnson said something to the effect, if you can make the poorest white man think that he's better than the best black man, he'll give you all of his money and be glad to do it. This was a southern white man from Texas talking about his fellow white people. Not my words, his words. You can Google them. Think about it. I love everybody. I love you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you live Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Holla!
Hi, I am Tiffany Span Wilder, but you may know me as Judge T. I am an attorney and former judge here in North Charleston. I'm running for South Carolina District House Seat 109 because we need an advocate at the State House who knows the district and knows the people in it, from crime, lack of opportunities for our youth, to the education and traffic nightmares. We need someone who hears us and will fight for us. As your next state representative, I am ready on day one. I would be honored to have your vote.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.